That could be said for nearly everybody in Congress. We all wish we could have written the bill a little differently, but the bill did what it was supposed to do. It stopped the free fall. When you look at things like the roads that we were able to fix, pave, bridges that we were able to repair, people we were able to put to work. We have a Veterans Center, the Veterans Clinic in Rome. Mr. Hanna said that was a great idea. We needed to do that. Absolutely. And the way we were able to do that was through the stimulus bill. Additionally, we gave the biggest tax breaks to small business and to individuals. Remember, everyone was able to get a $1,500 tax break, seniors $250, and small businesses, huge tax breaks. That bill did what it was supposed to do. It stopped the free fall that we were in. It was a success.
All right, Mr. Hanna, stimulus, success
Nothing
or failure?
could be further from the truth. They should stop the stimulus. They should recapture the money that hasn't been spent. Mr. Arcuri said that it would create 390,000 jobs in New York State. The evidence is that we've lost jobs. It was supposed to start to stop the growth of unemployment at 8.5%. Today we know it's 9.6%, and growing underemployment 17%. The stimulus bill, and you can call it a stimulus bill, but it doesn't make it one. You can call it a jobs creating bill, but that doesn't make it one. The simple truth is a lot of this money was pushed towards social programs and political agendas, and that less than 12% of this money was actually spent on those things that we know create jobs in the short run. So that I couldn't disagree more with Mr. Arcuri on the outcome of this enormous spending bill, which now is $816 billion. And there is no evidence that it's been successful. What it has done, it's allowed the Social Security, for a small example, 89,000 people received $250 from the Social Security Fund. $22 million of some of those people were dead and incarcerated. Money went to Africa to study ants. So there were just a lot of crazy things like that. Less than $100 billion of this money actually went to create jobs. And the evidence is that, and I think the fundamental difference is, and Mr. Arcuri has identified it between the two of us, everything he talks about has some government input, some government subsidy, some tax and spend payment to the private sector to help them. The truth is the private sector knows best what it needs to do. If you let it enjoy its own energy and pursue its own methods and unleash the entrepreneurial spirit that has made this country great over time, the government could get out of the way and we'd all save a lot of money into the future. You give a businessman $1, he'll turn it into more. You give the government $1, they will turn it into less.
All right. Well, we heard many things, and agriculture, Social Security among them. We will get to that in the next block. Don't go anywhere. That's when the 24th Congressional District Forum continues right after this. Stay with us. And welcome back to the 24th Congressional District Forum. This question going to Mr. Hanna. Obviously, the source of much debate earlier this year and now starting to take effect. We're talking health care reform, with the level of success varying depending on whom you ask. There's been a movement among Republicans, if successful in taking over the House, to repeal the Health Care Reform Act. So the question to both of you, but Mr. Hanna, you'll start, is would you support repealing the health care reform, scrapping it, and starting over?
I think that I would. I know that I would. The problem is that the Republican Party has for years, and both parties have known that this is the #1 problem for our country. 12%, or rather 18% of our economy is health care. That puts us at an enormous competitive disadvantage around the world, which spend between 9 and 12%. We have the most expensive health care system in the world. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that we all want people to be covered. We all want affordable health care. The question is, when I answer your question about whether or not I would vote to repeal it, yes, I would, but I think that it's incumbent upon the Republican Party and the Democratic Party to come up with an alternative that does the things that this bill did not do. It did not make it affordable. It did not address certain fundamental problems with things like tort reform. It didn't talk about cost as much as it should, and it simply costs too much. It takes $500 billion away from Medicare. It adds $500 billion in new taxes over 10 years, and it only pays for 6 years of the program. So I think, yes, it should be repealed. I think there are good parts of this. I think it's immoral for people with pre-existing conditions not to have insurance. I think that's wrong, and they should be covered. And there are a number of other good things about this bill. But I think that we should start over and do what we need to do, which is make it fundamentally affordable, and we should do it through the private sector as much as possible. Mr. Arcuri has said many times that he didn't like the bill that was passed, although he voted for the previous one, the House bill. He didn't like the second bill because it didn't have a public option. He'd have to have a lot more faith in government's ability to get things done right than I do in order to let the government run health care.
All right, Mr. Arcuri, your answer. Would you repeal this if it gets brought up in successful in
No,
November?
I would not vote to repeal it, but I have to say, and I think this is one of the problems why people have such a problem with their elected officials. And again, Mr. Hanna is not telling the truth. I never mentioned anything whatsoever with respect to the public option. But let me say this, I would not vote to repeal it. And the reason why, although I agree with Mr. Hanna, we need to bring costs down. I said there were 2 points that were critically important to healthcare. Point number 1 is making sure that the people who don't have insurance get insurance. And the second point is making sure that the people who do have insurance can continue to afford it. And I think we both agree on that point. We needed to do more. And that's the reason that I voted no on the second bill. My position on health care never changed. What changed was the bill. One of the things that changed in the bill was the fact that Medicare in the second bill was not able to negotiate the price of prescription drugs. Think about how much that would save for our seniors. Think about how much that would save the system. The other thing, and one of the reasons that I think we need to work, we have 2 years to fix this bill. That's what you're hiring us for. That's why you're sending us to Congress, for us to go and make the tough decisions, to work hard, to try to make this bill work. Look, this is still our #1 issue in America. One of the things that I have proposed, and one of the things I'll be working on, is increasing the amount that we do with respect to home health care. Think about this for 1 minute. That bill cut home health care. One of our biggest expenses are nursing homes. Think about what would happen if we could keep people who go into nursing homes home for an extra 6 months, 18 months, or a year. It would save dramatic amounts of money. These are the kind of things we can do to fix the bill, and that's what I'm dedicated to do when we go back.
All right, next issue, and you guys touched upon it in the first block. Let's get a little into it deeper. And Mr. Arcuri, you get the question first. This area skews older as far as age of the population is concerned, and that aging population is concerned, as you both mentioned, about the future of Social Security. Now, on your websites, you both say you're against privatizing Social Security, but what are your solutions to keep it from drying up in less than 30 years? Congressman, you answer first.
Thank you. I strongly oppose privatizing Social Security. I've worked very hard to make sure that we have Social Security there. I mean, Social Security is the great safety net that Americans have needed for so many years, and there's many things that we can do to repair it. But Social Security was never intended to be invested, to be privatized. And I know Mr. Hanna says he is against privatization, but he's a member of the Cato Institute that strongly supports privatizing Social Security. And I think you cannot waver on this issue. This is one of the issues that's important. This is one of the issues that people rely upon. Look, Social Security will be solvent until the year 2037. We have a number of options that we can look at, and I think we need to look at those options, but privatization cannot be one of those options. We can't afford what would happen if people invested their money and in places like the stock market, and we had another run on the stock market like we did in 2008, and people lost their money. It's too important. It is one of the great programs that America has had.
Mr. Hanna.
This is a total fabrication on the part of Mr. Arcuri and the Democratic National Committee. I have never been in favor of privatizing. I have never said that. He can't find where I've said it. I am, without equivocation, against it. It has been one of the great success stories of America. This is the first year, 2011 or 2010, that it's actually underwater there because of unemployment and people retiring early. There are more people, there's more money going out than coming in. By 2016, that will be a permanent condition by most estimates. By the year 2037, if the government is able to pay all the money it owes into Social Security, it will be solvent to that point. But what will happen in 2037 or thereabouts is that either benefits will have to be cut or something else, or the government's going to have to pay in to maintain those. So the problem, once again, is that these enormous deficits that this administration and others and previous administrations, including the Bush administration, have taken on, make the problem simple. The problem is spending, and deficits are the disease. We are not going to be able to keep our obligations to seniors. In many cases, 30% of seniors depend on Social Security for 90% of their income. It has been an enormous success. It is a great safety net. And I look forward to making it even more secure by cutting back on the amount of money that it takes to run our government. So when the time comes that they actually have to write a check into Social Security to maintain those payments, the money will really be there, and this country will be solvent enough to do it, which it won't be if we stay on the path that we're on.
All right, well, we have tackled 2 more issues, and we have 2 more to come, but first we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk agriculture, we're going to talk hydrofracking, 2 hot topics, I should say, in the 24th Congressional District. That's when we return right after this. Stay with us.